Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In case you're new to my channel, my name is Amy and I'm an online reseller. What that means is that I go to places like thrift stores and garage sales, find items that I can buy for cheap to resell online, and I mainly do that on platforms such as eBay. I also do that a little bit on Postmark and Mercer as well. So today we're still gonna try to get caught up on these what sold videos. I am a couple weeks behind, but I'm trying to get caught up so that you guys know what has been selling for us lately. Today's video, I want to go over sales from November 19th through the 25th. We have 18 sales to go over, so stick around for that. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get into these sales. Again, we have 18 sales to go over. That's nothing too crazy compared to a lot of people. I mentioned in the last video that I don't feel like Q4 has been as great as I would like it to be, as I would expect it to be, or even as it has been in previous years. And I know that a lot of other people are dealing with that also. I know there's also a lot of people out there who are just killing it. So whatever the case, if you want to leave me comments down below and let me know how you're doing in this Q4, if you're killing it, if you're doing so-so, which is kind of where we are, or if it's just completely dead for you. Because I've heard, depending on the person, I've heard all three things from different people. So let me know down in the comments below what camp you're in there. I'm just curious to know who all is dealing with what section of that, who is killing it, who is doing it okay like us, and who is just completely dead. We're getting closer and closer to Christmas, and I know we're a couple weeks behind, but I don't necessarily know that things have picked up. In the next couple videos I do, you're still going to see more of basically the same as these last couple of videos. So yeah, even though we're getting closer and closer to Christmas, it's still not really doing great for us. And again, I know a lot of times it has to do with what you sell, and maybe we're just not selling a lot of the things that people sell that they do really well with. We don't currently have a lot of electronics. We don't currently have a lot of toys, and I know those things a lot of times can do better for Christmas. Mainly in our stores right now, we do have a lot of clothes and shoes. Not that we don't have anything else at all, but I feel like a lot of times the best selling items, for Christmas time, even with like regular retail, seem to be stuff like toys, electronics, things like that. And we're just not really stocked on a lot of that stuff. We don't always find a lot of that stuff. And so yeah, it is what it is. But let's go ahead and talk about the sales that we did have between November 19th and the 25th. And yeah, like I said, if you guys want to tell us how you've been doing down below, make sure you do that. All right, first up, we have these Asics wrestling shoes. We paid about $2.13 for these at the bins, and they sold on eBay for $25. Now, if you're not new to my channel, you know what the bins are. You hear me talk about them all the time. If you are new to my channel and for whatever reason don't know what the bins are, it's also referred to as the Goodwill outlet, and it's where you pay for everything by the pound instead of paying for each item individually. It can be a really good, cheaper way to source inventory. So Asics, I don't buy every Asics out there. I think a lot of Asics used to do better than they do now. Now it seems to only be certain styles of Asics that are going to sell, especially for any kind of decent money. I do really well with these wrestling shoes. For whatever reason, the Asics wrestling shoes are really good to pick up. I usually get anywhere between about 20, 25, sometimes maybe 30, but that's kind of pushing it. So keep that in mind as well. Like, that's the price range that you're probably going to get for these shoes. So it's nothing crazy, but it's a good bread and butter sale. Next up was this Sony CyberShot camera. Now, I paid about $6 for this at a garage sale, and I believe that was this past summer. I don't think it sat longer than that. I'm pretty sure it was this summer. Unfortunately, this wasn't like a great one. A lot of these digital cameras can do really well, and most of them will sell quicker than this too. Obviously, you know, I'm just now selling this. I got it this summer, and it took this long to sell. I probably wouldn't have paid $6 for this at the garage sale if I had really paid more attention to the specific model, the fact that it's an older one. The megapixels on this were like nothing compared to the kind of megapixels they have now on cameras. You know what I mean? Like, so this was kind of an older camera, so it's not going to do as well. It took longer to sell, and it definitely didn't sell for anywhere near the amount of money that sometimes I can sell a lot of these digital cameras for. But it did end up selling for $22. So I'm still making a profit. It's just, I probably should pay more attention because a lot of times, you know, I want the digital cameras that I can buy for $5 or whatever at the garage sale and then sell for $70, $80, $100. And I did do that. If you go and look at some of my past what sold videos, especially ones, I can't remember exactly when these sold, but they're probably closer to summer because I feel like a lot of them didn't take that long to sell either. But I found lots of digital cameras actually at garage sales. Well, not lots, but a few, several, at garage sales this summer, and most of them sold way quicker than this and for a lot more money than this. So if you want to go back and check out some of my old what sold videos, you may be able to find that. Or you can just look up comps on a lot of, you know, digital cameras, especially like Sony, Canon, things like that. The Nikon Coolpix, a lot of those do really well. So keep that in mind. It's a thing to look out for. I don't find them very often at thrift stores and things like that for whatever reason. They're hard to find at thrift stores around me. I typically find these at garage sales, which also kind of sucks because that really limits my, you know, chance to find these as well. Because I live in Ohio, we only have garage sales kind of basically like May through maybe September. And even then it's kind of very sporadic a lot of those times. It's never just constant garage sales, even through those months. But those are about the only times we're going to have garage sales here in Ohio. I mean, some might start as early as April. Sometimes I've seen some last into October. It really just depends on how the weather is that year. If it starts getting nice out in April, maybe some people will start having garage sales. If it's still a little nice in October, some people might be having garage sales. But yeah, I'd say May through maybe September is pretty much our garage sale season. And that's about it. Because here in Ohio, it gets cold in the winter and nobody's having garage sales. Unfortunately, I don't live in one of those areas where we have like year-round garage sales. I think that would be amazing and an awesome opportunity if I did live in a place like that, but I do not. So I have to make the most of what I have, and that's why usually the rest of the year is spent more focused on thrift stores. And like I said, unfortunately, a lot of times things like digital cameras and even a lot of other electronics are just harder to find in my thrift stores. At any rate, next up are these Red Wing men's shoes. Paid $3.20 for these at our local thrift store, and they sold for $34.98 on eBay. Next up are these UGG girls boots. Paid about $2.14 for these at the bins, and they sold for $18. I don't buy a lot of kids' shoes, but I will when it's certain brands that I know are good, and especially if I find them at the bins because they're going to be cheap. And so that's what I did here. I did pick these up even though they were girls. And yeah, so paid about $2 for them and got 18. So nothing crazy, but again, good bread and butter, extra money rolling in. All right, next up are these Vionic women's shoes. Paid $5.33 for these at our local thrift store, and these ended up selling on eBay for $20. Vionic is sometimes a good brand. I feel like it probably used to do better than it does now. Sometimes I have troubles with Vionic. I don't know if it's more style specific or if it really just is that Vionic used to be really good and it's just not as good anymore. These shoes did have some issues that I didn't notice when I bought them in the store. And that's another reason why they only sold for $20. But still, overall, I feel like a lot of my Vionics sit for a while before they sell. Even if they do end up selling for at least a little bit more than this, they sit for a while. So keep that in mind. Next up are these UGG women's boots. Paid about $4.27 for these at the bins, and these sold on eBay for $30. Next is this Eddie Bauer women's wool hat. Paid $3.73 for this at our local thrift store, and this ended up selling on eBay for $28. Eddie Bauer isn't a brand I normally pick up. It's very item specific. Like I will pick up like the Eddie Bauer down jackets and things like that. Those are probably one of the best Eddie Bauer items to pick up. Eddie Bauer isn't something to pick up across the board, but when I found this, it was like a wool hat and I thought it could do well. It took a really long time to sell. I forget how long I've had this. But still, it paid like $3 something for it. Sold for $28. It did take a long time, but that's still a really good profit. Again, am I going to pick this up again if I would see it? I don't know that I would ever see this specific hat again or anything like that. I probably will usually stick more with the Eddie Bauer down jackets because I know that that is a good style of Eddie Bauer to purchase. And that's mostly what I'm going to keep my eye out for. Next up are these Sass women's shoes. Paid $3.25 for these at our local thrift store. And they sold on eBay for $27.28. Sass is another one where I don't pick up all Sass. I used to pick up a lot more Sass than I do now. And Sass used to sell like crazy and for pretty decent money. It's just not like it used to be. It's another one of those brands. Just doesn't do as well as it used to. Whatever reason that's for, whether the market got flooded, whatever happened, it just doesn't seem to do as well. There are specific styles, though, that still will sell. And this is one of them. I think this was like I don't remember if this one's called like the Free Time or something like that. I think that's the name of it. Those do typically sell better than some of the other styles. So just something to keep in mind. It's one of those brands that seems to now be more style specific. So do your research and make sure something is worth picking up before you do. All right, next up are these Sorel women's boots. Paid $8.66 for these at Goodwill, and these ended up selling on eBay for $39.98. So that was a good flip also. Did pay up a little bit for those, but you know, sometimes Goodwill will price things higher. When I found these and they were, you know, $8, whatever, I kind of went back and forth with myself about it, and I thought, you know what, I'm sure I can still make money on these. I mean, they're Sorel. Sorel is a good brand, so I'm going to give it a shot. They did take a little while to sell. Nothing crazy. But I mean, they didn't sell within, you know, like a month or something like that. I forget exactly when I bought this. I feel like it was earlier in the year. And so still, again, paying about $8 for them, selling them for $40. Is that the craziest profit in the world? No, but it was pretty good to me. Next up are these Justin men's cowboy boots. Paid $6.45 for these at the bins, and these sold for $47.98. Next are a pair of Allen Edmonds men's shoes. Paid $5 for these at a garage sale, and they sold for $41.98. Allen Edmonds is another one that I feel like must be much more style specific. Allen Edmonds used to do really well. I feel like you used to be able to pick up Allen Edmonds shoes and they would always do really well. Now I feel like a lot of my Allen Edmonds shoes sit for a long time. These did. I'm pretty sure I got these at a garage sale last summer, not this summer. So they've been sitting for over a year. before they finally ended up selling. Now, they did still end up selling for almost $42, so not bad, but that's a long time to, sit on a pair of shoes. So keep that in mind. Allen Edmonds isn't necessarily going to move quickly. It's not necessarily going to move for as much money as it once did. And again, maybe very style specific. Next is another pair of UGG women's boots. Paid $2 for these at a garage sale, and they sold for $25 on eBay. And our final eBay sale were these Timberland men's shoes. Paid $4.26 for these at our local thrift store. And these sat for a long time too, and so we finally ended up taking an offer on these for only $18. Now, Timberland is typically a good brand to look out for. It's a good bread and butter brand, and a lot of times certain Timberlands will sell for more money than this $18. Part of it is because these were just like a slip-on loafer. That's part of probably why they sold for so little. Timberland boots tend to do better. That's what they're more known for. And those are typically going to command a higher price. So keep that in mind. If you find Timberland boots, usually you're going to do well with those. A lot of the Timberland shoes, maybe not so much, but it still might be worth it. You might have to sit on them for a while. You might have to take, a little bit lower of a price point, but you can probably still make money on them. All right, next let's go over a couple Poshmark sales. First up, we have this Orvis men's sweater. Paid $7.33 for this at Goodwill, which again was kind of paying up a little bit for, a shirt from Goodwill. Don't typically pay that much, but I kind of just figured it'd probably be worth it. This was a really nice sweater, and Orvis is a good brand. And it finally ended up selling on eBay for $24, on Poshmark for $24. So again, not some crazy profit, but it ended up being a good, bread and butter, extra money in the pocket, still made a profit kind of brand. And then the other Poshmark sale we had was actually a bundle. This customer purchased a Disney Princess snow globe and a willow tree friendship figure. They had sent an offer, and I think somehow we ended up missing the offer. I don't remember why, but by the time we saw the offer, it had expired. So I ended up sending them an offer on their bundle for $35, and they accepted it. I think they had offered $30 to begin with, and I thought about just sending an offer for $30, but I thought, you know what? Let me go ahead and send an offer for just a little bit higher, and then if they come back with $30 again, like their original offer, I'll go ahead and take it. But I sent them the offer for $35, and they went ahead and took it. So that was pretty exciting. Got a little bit more money out of that sale than I would have if I would have seen the offer before and just taken it. So that actually worked out really well. And between these two items, the Disney Princess Snow Globe had cost us $3 at a garage sale, and the willow tree figure had cost us $2 at a garage sale. So we only had $5 into both these items, and it sold for $35 for the bundle. All right, now this sale was a sale on Mercari. This was a Polo Ralph Lauren men's sweater. Paid $4 for this at a garage sale, and this sold for $24.30. And then this time, I actually have something to share with you guys that I've never gotten to share before, because I don't sell hardly anything ever on this platform. But I did have 2 sales on Depop. I don't have a ton of items listed on Depop, but I have cross-listed some items to Depop. But I haven't done all that great on there. The sales are very sporadic. And that could partially be due to the fact that I don't have a lot of items cross-listed on there. But it was also frustrating to keep cross-listing on there and to not really be getting sales. So I kind of just haven't put a lot of effort into cross-listing on there. But we did make 2 sales on Depop in this time frame. So let's go over those 2 sales. The first one was these pair of Merrell women's shoes. Paid $1.59 for these at the bins, and they sold for $21.20. And finally were these Tom's women's rainbow slide sandals. Paid only about $1.59 for these at the bins, and these sold on Depop for $35. So, as you see, 4 different platforms that we got to have sales on, 18 sales, the 19th through the 25th of November. You know, not too bad, but nothing crazy. You know, no crazy huge sales this week. And not, you know, hundreds of items like some people are selling. Nowhere near that. So obviously, and I've told you guys before too, if you've seen my previous videos, we probably did have a few more sales than just this 18, but still nothing crazy. It wouldn't be a lot more than that or anything. But typically any sales we have that are under $20, I don't really go over in these videos. I just don't feel like that's information that's necessary. I feel like most of those are lower dollar sales. I mean, obviously I do go over some that are close to the $20 mark, like those $18 Timberlands. If it's close to 20, sometimes I'll throw it in here. But typically anything under 20 for the most part, I just don't bother to go over. Some items we sell are items that we've just either had for a really long time. They were items that we either got for free or something like that. Something along those lines where even though it doesn't sell for a lot, we've still listed it. And then we've been able to sell them, but they're selling at a really low price point. So I don't feel like they're bolos, you know. I don't feel like it's items that you guys need to be on the lookout for. To me, that just doesn't make sense, and it would make the video even longer and add information that I don't feel like is helpful to you guys at all. I mean, if you guys ever want to pick up items that are below that $20 mark and sell them, absolutely. Stuff like that does sell on eBay. Don't think that lower priced items don't sell on eBay. Of course they do. We do it all the time. We constantly have lower priced items selling on eBay. But it's not, in the terms of me trying to be helpful to you guys and tell you guys what to look out for, those aren't the kind of items I'm going to tell you to specifically look out for. You know what I mean? So, at any rate, we probably did have definitely more than those 18 sales because I'm sure we had several really small sales. I don't know off the top of my head how many. It wasn't anything like twice this amount or anything crazy. So don't think that, you know, we sold hundreds of items and most of them were just lower dollar. It definitely wasn't anything like that. I doubt it was even twice this amount. But there were a few other sales. Just to be completely transparent. As I've talked about in my recent video about complete transparency and reselling, that's my complete transparency. We do sell lots of lower dollar items. I don't share them on here. There's not a ton of them. It's nothing crazy like that. So just to keep all that in mind, if you liked this video, please make sure to give it a like. It'll help the video, it'll help my channel, and I would just appreciate it. I mean, it'll let me know that you guys like this kind of content and that I'm doing something that you guys enjoy and that hopefully is helpful to you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, because that will notify you every time I post new videos, which again, right now I'm currently trying to get caught up. So this will be my second video of this week. I don't know that I'll get a third one out this week, but maybe I'll get a couple out next week. So make sure you subscribe. That way you're notified when I do. That's it for today, guys. I'm going to go do some work. Until next time, keep on hunting for that hidden treasure.